And we're live. The first ever episode of USI. Really excited about this. Santiago.
Welcome, welcome. I'm just looking forward to it.
Definitely. Let's do it. Good evening from the UK. And it's the afternoon.
And good afternoon from the US.
This is it. Welcome to USI. The concept behind this channel is to talk about sports predominantly based in America, but also make those connections to those in the UK. Obviously, my co-host here, Santiago, who is living in America at the moment, currently in Houston. Santiago, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And once again, thank you for having me. I am excited for this one. Got some good topics all around. As we will be starting out with one of them, I decided that I should represent, with an old hockey jersey. But hey.
No, definitely looking forward to it. So if you're tuning in live at this moment, please like, share, subscribe to Eagle Eye Football, turn on the notification bell, drop some comments, feel free to ask some questions on it. But don't forget, after we've gone through our topics, we'll drop the link and you can come on and have your say. And we'd love to hear from you. So let's do this. So the first thing is the Stanley Cup. Now, go ahead. You got a big smile on your face there, Santi.
So I think we have some really exciting teams this year. And here's why. So one, Tampa Bay Lightning won the Stanley Cup last year. I'm skeptical on back-to-back wins. However, did you know that there has not been a Canadian hockey team that has won the Stanley Cup since 1993?
All right, I'm cheering Montreal. I'm going for them.
and further note, there has not been a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup finals since 2011.
Wow.
So it's been 10 years. One of those things that, is it a long time coming? Will they break the drought? It's really kind of the question to ask now. I don't know.
It's interesting you say that because obviously Canadians they're really good.
That's their sport. I mean, that's Canadian. Hockey is the Canadian sport. Really, that's one of those things. Is it coming home?
So don't start that yet, please, because at the moment in time, Holland, I think they've lost to Czech. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let me just check the final scores. 2-0, Czech Republic.
Wow.
So on England's side of the draw, it's a lot easier. So it could come home, but I don't want to. Don't want to anticipate you.
Yeah.
So as you said, the reigning champions, Tampa Bay Lightning, they're back in the Stanley Cup final. They were playing against the Montreal Canadiens, and it went down to the wire in the semi-final. Game 7 against the New York Islanders. Now, the thing with ice hockey, is obviously in football, if you see 1-0, you think, ugh.
Yeah.
But in ice hockey, this was end to end.
Yeah, and that's one of those. It's such a fast-paced sport, and one of the things that is interesting to note too is what's his face? Oh gosh, what is his name? Kucherov, I think that's what it's pronounced. He plays for the Lightning, right? He was out most of the season. The guy came back, and he came back with a thunder. A little bit of a pun there, lightning thunder.
Love it.
But the guy is leading the scoring charts for the postseason for the Lightning after missing out pretty much most of the season injured. Then you have a really good captain with Steven Stamkos. I highly rate that guy. I think he's very, very good on that end. And so even though I started out with saying I don't like back-to-back champions usually, I think the Lightning are on fire. They beat one of their games 8-0. That's a massive gap even in hockey. So.
And it's interesting with this, like, because I was watching the game and it just seemed like the Islanders' offense was just not up to scratch where they usually were. They've been usually quite high scoring in a sense. Why do you think that might have been?
That's a great question. I know that the Canadiens are generally a tough team to play with. Based on the conversations I've had with some folks to it, they're not necessarily the most well liked of teams, just because of the way that they're frustrating to play against.
I'm going to chuck in a few interesting facts that I found. So obviously, New York was eliminated by Tampa in the Eastern Conference final last season. So Tampa are definitely a thorn in the side. It also mentions that they were averaging 1.57 goals in the playoffs, which isn't really great considering that they beforehand were on 3.80, which shows like the massive dip, especially in this playoff series. So the Islanders really struggled, unfortunately.
Yeah, and sometimes you got to wonder if sometimes the playoffs. Playoff form is sometimes a different animal altogether, right? You have some folks that maybe fatigue plays into it. You have some folks that sometimes the mental aspect of it being a knockout round, on that end after such a long season.
Yeah. So let's stick on neckouts. Who wins the Stanley Cup?
I'm gonna go ahead and Canadian people might be upset about this, but I'm gonna go with the Lightning. And I'm going to say Game 6 or 7. I think it's going to be a tight game or a tight series. And I think it's ultimately, though, I think that the Lightning just have a little bit too much firepower.
Right. I do love what do you call it? A fairy tale story. So I'm going to go Mighty Ducks with it and go with the Montreal Canadiens.
Let's go. All right. I'm excited.
Yeah. Let's do it. Moving on. UFC Fight Night last night. Really decent card, actually. Really decent card. But there's two fights that I really want us to talk about. So let's look at the co-main event. Tanner Boser versus Ovin St. Preux. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. Really interesting fight. Really interesting fight. TKO in round 2. Massive controversy, though. It seemed at the time as if Boser had used the cage, to pull himself up, but there was no like conclusive evidence to it. Like there wasn't a defining angle. So fair play to the official. He just let them fight on, and a brutal knockout, by the way. Brutal.
Yes. I mean, that's one of those interesting facts. Whenever you saw the fight, the referee didn't just immediately jump in and stop it like they would have normally if it was a conclusive thing. And then on the angle, you couldn't quite really tell. Was it a grab? Was it not a grab? I mean, OSP's corner definitely seemed to think so.
Yeah. You can hear the ruckus about it and such, and especially where the knockout came so soon after it.
Yeah.
They definitely felt aggrieved, but the technique to apply that knee. Such good technique, and St. Preux he's like a legend in the game, so this is obviously a major scalp. Yes, age may play a factor, but it's a massive statement made by Boser. Massive statement.
Yeah, this is true. And to be fair, I don't know if you maybe had seen some of the interviews too, but Boser definitely said, I don't recall if I did. I don't think I did. So I think sort of that controversy is not really going to be talked about too much longer.
Yeah, it's a shame though. You don't want to feel like you've lost the fight in controversial circumstances, and like if it was controversial and it's just kind of be brushed under the carpet, that's going to be quite disappointing. Because I know if it was one of the big names, we wouldn't hear the end of it really. So
That's true. That's certainly true. I mean, definitely would be a hype if there is a rematch one day.
definitely, the main event itself, Cyril Gane, he's got skills.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's one of those. I think he's sort of gone under the radar. I don't know. Haven't necessarily seen or heard too much hype around him personally, but I think he could be well on his way to a title fight.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder who actually wants a title fight with Francis Ngannou, but um, he's currently, I think, ranked third now. You've got John Jones training, because I believe he's got the actual fight with Ngannou next if that gets signed and delivered, which will be a phenomenal fight. Do you think anyone's going to knock Ngannou off his perch? Sorry.
I would actually would really like to see Gane get that fight in there, because I think it's my understanding that they used to train together.
All right.
So if I'm correct on that, I think that would be a really interesting fight for that sort of.
That would be awesome, because his skill set was like he just kept the pressure on Volkov, and Volkov had no answers. He chucked a few leg kicks, which was successful, but he just couldn't land any of his big rights, or his jab couldn't get going because Gane was just too quick.
Yeah. I mean, it was a phenomenal striking, fight and performance on that end. Yeah.
And credit to Herb. At one stage there was a bit of an eye poke, but he didn't stop the fight. Well, as in didn't take a point off. He made sure Volkov was all right. Volkov acknowledged it was an accident, and he just moved on from there. But yeah, like I said, the skill set of Gane, he's quick. His move set he's versatile, and to be able to stand for 5 minutes and
that takes
very easy.
I was gonna say that takes some stamina. I personally used to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a long time ago, and that even then that's sort of a its own skill set, but it does allow you a little bit of breathing time to be on basically striking for that long amount of time. That definitely does take a lot of physical endurance.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to chuck a random question at you. Sorry to put you on the spot, but would you say is one of the most up and coming fighters to look out for?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure that I have an answer for that one. I'd have to actually probably think about that one.
No problem.
So,
no, it's just really exciting how I feel UFC went through a really dry patch, and it's kind of really picked itself up. Who's coming back from a drugs? TJ Dillashaw. Remember, he's coming back. Actually, he had a drugs ban.
Did he?
Yeah. Funny enough, I only found out watching the event last night.
Oh.
Yeah, literally. And
yeah.
I didn't realize he had taken performance-enhancing drugs, and now he's going to be returning. So that would be interesting.
That is interesting. I don't know if generally there, sometimes there are some questions when an athlete comes back after, a scandal like that. Sometimes they do lose some fans. Sometimes, and sometimes even their wins, their validity of the win, does get questioned. So it'll be interesting to see how it does.
It turns out, yeah, because we had that same issue with John Jones when he came back to fight Daniel Cormier. Although USDA, if that's how you pronounce it, and they were like, yeah, he's fine. Everyone was still worried about the validity of his body because he took a substance, and such. So yeah, looking forward to what comes ahead in UFC and such, and hopefully Dana White can keep chucking out some good fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Be exciting matchups, and it really would be interesting, sort of what comes next. I mean, who's really going to be fighting? You know, Gane, who's going to be fighting for the title, right? All those are playing factors.
Now, I know you're going to be very happy about this one, seeing as you're from Houston. We're going to move on to NBA.
Yeah.
And the Bucks beating Brooklyn.
Yeah. So I can tell you, being from Houston, that James Harden was in the mud over here. People were just roasting the guy. And to be fair, there is some merit. I mean, you know, James Harden did take us to what, 7 playoffs, but he always does seem to take a little bit of a dip in form as far as the postseason. So it'll be a. But let's analyze the whole team though. So.
Absolutely. I mean, like when we spoke previously, we even mentioned that it's kind of like a dream team in a sense. And I would link them to like the whole Man City effect, where it's like you're kind of trying to buy the championship and stuff. And for them to not make it to at least the conference finals, it's a massive disappointment.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know, and to be fair to them, you know, I think healthy, they're a team that can beat anybody. They're arguably the best team in the league, if not one of the best teams. Now, you know, of course, injuries did play a little bit into the game, and so, but that does make you wonder: does that squad need some depth off the bench? You know, I know that James Harden and then Irving, they both played 4 of the games out of the 7. So, you know, like James Harden had the hamstring,
Yeah.
and then Irving got the ankle. I think he might unfortunately be out for the Olympics too. So,
All right.
but yeah, so I mean that there is some questions around the depth of that. Are they relying too much on those superstars on that end? No. I guess, what are your thoughts around that?
I feel like they just have no excuse. I don't know what. Maybe it's a cynic in me.
Mhm.
To think they have obviously Blake Griffin, Kyrie, KD, Harden. At least if one of them's missing, they still got 3 really, really good players.
Yeah, I
on
mean,
court.
I guess one good question too is, you know, is Blake Griffin sort of getting past it a little bit? You know, he's not.
His drop off has been quite fast, actually.
You know, yeah. I mean, that's. I mean, that was my thought. I mean, look, I'm going to go ahead and just throw this out there. James Harden can sometimes be useless in postseason. I think he had 5 points in one of the games of that series. 5 points.
Yeah.
So, you know, on that end, and then you know, and then now that I'm thinking about it, there are some defensive issues. I mean, like if you think about it, they're not taking too many rebounds that I can think of.
Right.
So there, I mean, there could be a few holes in there, but yeah, I mean, ultimately, when you have that kind of star power, there really shouldn't be that excuse.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe too many stars causes issues?
I think it can. You know, Kevin Durant is, you know, you do sometimes hear, you know, here and there that can be a little bit sensitive. So that sometimes that could play a, you know, effect in the locker room. So it is, and that is a good question. You know, it's Steve Nash the guy to go ahead and steer that ship, control that many egos. You know.
Yeah. It'd be very interesting to see how the draft operates. Whether all 4 of them will still be together, or the big 4.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I honestly, like them or hate them, I think they are one of the teams to beat, especially when they're healthy.
Yeah. I think the Lakers will have a shot next year. I know obviously AD missed quite a few of the series. I believe I read there's rumors that Dame Lillard might end up going there.
Oh, okay.
Could be rumors. But it's going to be a very interesting postseason.
Yeah.
Um,
I I think San Francisco is one of those that's not really being talked about much. I think that, it might be coming back with a vengeance next season, but we'll see.
Oh, because they've renamed, haven't they?
I think so.
As in San Francisco, as in like Golden State.
Yeah, Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, because they moved, didn't they? They moved to San, or have they moved yet?
I haven't kept up with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that myself. There was rumors that they were moving from Oakland.
Yeah, because their stadium's in Oakland, but I mean, Oakland's really the San Francisco area.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they're relocating. I know that there was talks about it, but I haven't really looked into it too much.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna look into it myself. Actually, it'd be very interesting to see whether or not they've done that. So the actual, obviously, the current NBA playoff situation. We had the Suns win last night.
Yep.
To go 3-1. I've got the score, the actual game scores with us here. So with the Suns, we had Devin Booker 25 points, 2 rebounds, 0 assists. Chris Paul 18 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists.
CP3.
DeAndre Ayton 19 points, 22 rebounds, 3 assists. Really, really positive numbers. With the Clippers, Paul George with 23 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists, which ain't too bad, to be fair.
No.
Reggie Jackson, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. What I am surprised about is Patrick Beverley, 2 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. And he's normally...
has a little bit better output than that. Yeah.
Definitely. DeAndre Ayton's come out and said that like Chris Paul's been like a super mentor to him, and I guess it shows because you've got such a mature leader in the camp, in the changing room and such, an experienced guy, and Chris Paul, regardless of age, will obviously be that figurehead.
Yeah,
it's amazing how he's doing at his age.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's been a massive addition to them. I mean, I think from what I looked at, he was leading the series in assists too. Of course, he's a Houston export. You will have some fans that will be upset about their performance or all that. I'm happy to see even if they're former Houston players, go on and do some good things.
Yeah.
Now, I actually think the Suns are a little bit more of a balanced team. So I don't know. Maybe it just feels to me like maybe the Clippers are being a little bit carried by Paul George. Not fully, but just sort of feels a little bit like it. I don't know. I guess what are your thoughts around that?
It's interesting because obviously Kawhi. So he's missed pretty much 6 games now, I believe, and that's going into obviously the last set of games and stuff. And Kawhi Leonard, he's phenomenal. He can carry any team really. So it'd be interesting to have had seen how close this series would have been. Had he been fit.
Yeah. And that is always sort of a unfortunate thing. Especially with the playoff systems, you have and an argument too that there has been made between American sports and sports in other parts of the world is you have these teams that have really great output during the league, and then playoff time comes around, you have a one key player missing, and it really affects the dynamic. So. But I think right now the series is 3-1. I'm not sure if we're a little too early to call it, but I'm going with the Suns. Yeah,
I'm calling it. It's done.
Yeah,
it's done. So. I just don't feel like personally, Paul George is the type of player you need to try and carry your team. That's just my personal opinion. He's a good player.
yeah. I mean, he's a good player, but I guess sort of at the end of the day, is he really the player that can just throw that team on his shoulders and go through?
This is it. which makes us move on to obviously the Bucks and the Hawks briefly. They're currently at 1-0. They've got the game tonight. Who do you see going through in that game?
All right, so I'm going to go with the Bucks, and my opinion is really going to be solely based around the fact that they beat the Nets. I know it sounds ridiculous, but when you go ahead and get off the back of beating, like I said, arguably one of the best teams in the league, you're going to be beaming with confidence. I know it's 1-1 right now, but you're going to be feeling strong. You're going to be like mentally, you're going to be doing well. And then they have a really, really good player. I wish I could pronounce his name, but yeah, I mean that's really sort of my opinion around that. Now, do you have, I guess, sort of a differing opinion on that?
Now with the Bucks, I think they're just going to be too strong for the Hawks. Giannis is phenomenal, and he's definitely going to carry them through. I would love to see a final that has Booker against Giannis, like the trade-off. I think that would be a phenomenal final. And if I was to stick my neck out, regardless, I reckon the Suns win the NBA title.
Really? Okay. Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, I don't know. So I predict Bucks versus Suns in the NBA Finals. Now, as far as who's going to win it, I'm not sure I'm ready to make that call just yet. So
I love the way you're sitting in the fence at the moment. But to be fair, it's maybe better than me making a fool of myself on the other side of the pond.
Well, no, I mean there is an argument for the Suns. It's just I don't know. I mean, I know that the Bucks can once again sort of similar to the Canadiens be a frustrating team to play against, and you never really know. I guess maybe we'll both be in the mud, and the Hawks will make it through.
We will see. We will definitely see. Next topic. Now, I don't know what the press has been like regarding this in America, but over here, it is mental. So I'm going to let you say what you know of how the press have delivered this regarding Wilder and such, and then I'll tell you the madness that's been happening on this end of the side, end of the pond.
Okay. So I guess really in regards to boxing, you don't really see as much of a presence around it as much. I think you do see a lot of hype towards Tyson Fury. But I haven't necessarily seen too much around Wilder, so I'm a little curious as to what you're referring to.
So over here, we have been waiting for AJ versus Fury for the longest. The moment Fury beat Wilder, we thought that's it. Unification fight is going to happen. AJ versus Fury. A couple of months ago, there was rumors that it's done, it's signed, it's sealed, it's going to happen later on in the year. It's going to happen. They started having verbals, loads of verbals on Twitter, Instagram, you name it. Things were building up. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, Wilder has his mandatory rematch clause. And it's like, wait, had you known that? Why are you pushing this AJ Fury agenda up, knowing that Wilder needs to fight anyway? It's absolutely driven us mad.
Yeah, and boxing is one of those sports too that is a lot of times really built up around. I think the build up to the fight is sometimes even better than the fight itself in some cases. But around that, yeah, that is a very interesting that they would just take a wild left turn on that end.
Very left field. So I mean, it's like Fury's dad has come out recently, and he's been like, I don't think my son's really preparing himself properly, because Fury's kind of just been living his life and such. We all know that Wilder's dangerous. He may not have the boxing skill set, but he will knock someone out. You know.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on this fight? Who comes out with a win?
See, to me, it's I feel like it's Tyson Fury. There's already beaten him before, and I'm not really sure why we're just redoing the fights. That makes sense. But that's my thoughts around it. Now it's interesting. I actually hadn't heard about Dad coming out and saying he's maybe not taking it as seriously. If that is the case, then maybe I'll be made to look a fool later on. But
Fury's skill set says he wins the fight again. But if he isn't taking it seriously, and Wilder catches him, there could be a problem.
Well, and the thing too is you always do love to see those upsets, especially in boxing or UFC.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Wilder because if he doesn't win this, then I think he's done regarding the getting back into the championship picture. I think that's it for him.
Sort of make it or break it. Yeah.
Yeah, he has to win. What was I going to say? Canelo, sorry. Random thing. Obviously, Mexican heritage you are, and he is. What's your thoughts on him as a fighter? Who would you might like to see fight next? Is there anyone even out there for him to fight?
I'm not 100% sure. If I'm being honest with you, because I know with Canelo, he's very, very big around Mexico. I haven't necessarily kept up with his career as of late.
Yeah.
So I'll be the first to admit on that. But yeah, we're definitely always proud to have.
He's a supreme fight athlete, to be honest. And what he did to Billy Joe Saunders was mad. Watch that live, and he was just, Last bit, you had something really, really, really important to discuss. Obviously, living in America. This bit of news is massive.
Yeah. So, Caden Clark, 18-year-old midfielder, joined New York Red Bulls at 16. He is getting a transfer to RB Leipzig. So, essentially what they're doing is they're doing a loan move to New York Red Bulls until the end of the season in 2021, and then he'll move on to RB Leipzig after that. So I think what's interesting about that too is maybe both teams are owned by Red Bull, so it gives you kind of maybe some question marks. Maybe did they figure out a cheat sheet or a hack to try and in the system to try and get some players? I mean, I could think of Tyler Adams prior to, and so essentially, the owners gave money to themselves in this transfer, just essentially switching assets. Don't look at it like that. But yeah,
I wouldn't put it past American owners the way they're going on.
yeah, and it's interesting too with their model. I know that Germans aren't quite as keen on it as we are here in New York, but if it works out for them, then I could see a good deal of youth talent, trying to apply their trade to New York there.
Yeah, and it's brilliant because, like I said, when we discussed before in our previous show together, had influx of Americans coming over to Europe. So for Caden Clark to make the decision at such a young age is phenomenal. And once again, it seems to be Germany seems to be the starting place for many Americans, which is really, really good. So I wish him all the best.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a massive transfer for him. And especially being so young, the world is his oyster. He's got potential, and let's see what I guess maybe we'll see if it becomes a household name later on.
No, definitely. Brilliant. Now, well, we've covered all the points that we've wanted to cover. No, lovely first show, lovely insight into American sport. You can tell that we love the game and we love to research things and to a bit deeper. So at this time, if we have anyone there watching live that would love to come and have their say, I've put in the chat
Looking here.
the link. So feel free to hit the link and come and have your say about anything we've discussed or anything you want to say about American sports in general. So yeah, whilst we're waiting for potential people to come through, let's talk a bit of the Euros then. So
Yeah.
You were very close to your prediction regarding Germany. Very close. Now, for those who didn't know, Santiago made the bold statement to say Germany will get knocked out of the group stages of the Euros. He was 5 minutes away from that happening.
Yeah, I made that, and I realized after I asked KG to clip that, I was like, that's, I might be in the mud. But yeah, I mean, Hungary, they really came out fighting. I think they surprised all of us, even myself. And to be fair, when I made that statement, I did not realize that the third place, some of the third places moved on to the knockout stages.
Oh, right, yeah. So this is it. It was a massive scare. Fair play to Hungary. They gave Germany a real good game. And at one stage, Hungary was second.
Yeah.
At one stage. So no, very interesting. Obviously, the Dutch are now out. In about 20 minutes, we've got Belgium, Portugal. What's your thoughts on that game?
That's a massive game, and I think one of the things to keep in mind too is, I know in England they always pit Bruno Fernandes versus Kevin De Bruyne, so we'll see. We get to see both of them in action. I know that Bruno's had a bit of a rough start to the tournament. Hasn't been contributing quite as much as other as Man United fans would like to boast, but I think that's going to be a really interesting matchup. I personally think that Belgium might be a little overrated, but
it's another bold statement. Why that? Why is that?
Who do they have at the back?
All right, Toby and Vertonghen.
Yeah, that's kind of really why. I mean, Lukaku is a great striker. You have Eden Hazard. I think Eden Hazard. I haven't really seen how he's done in the tournament, but he was having a difficult time. At Real for a little bit there. Lukaku doing great for Inter, but I guess I'm sort of a bitter United fan after he left. So on that end, I don't rate him quite as much. So they have a fantastic midfield. Courtois is a great keeper too. Yeah. So that's just my general thoughts around it. Am I doing a madness here?
A little bit to say they're overrated, to be fair. Yeah, they're such a good side. They're just, how at one stage England had the golden generation where you had Lampard, Scholes, Gerrard, Beckham and such. Belgium are at that stage as well. And if they don't do it now, they might not do it at all.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very important tournament for them. So I wouldn't say they're overrated. They just need to.
So I've heard some folks say that they're the favorites to win the tournament. I wouldn't say they're the favorites, and in that essence, I would say they're overrated. I think that they're still a dark horse, but you got to get through Portugal, who won the Euros last time, and they have really good players as well. I guess for Portugal, I don't know. I guess I expect a somewhat offensive game. I mean, who does Portugal have in their defense too?
Quite well. A 38-year-old Pepe.
That pace
Yeah.
getting on with age. It's
Yeah, got Ruben Diaz there as well.
oh yeah.
No, it'll be a very interesting game. Not so much breaking news, but I probably expected it. Bruno's dropped. So that Bruno De Bruyne thing ain't happening today. Once we're
Much.
here, you know what? Let me see if I can get the actual lineup. Okay, so for Belgium, it is Thibaut Courtois. They play three at the back, Alderweireld, Vertonghen, and Vermaelen. Wow.
Oh.
That's a spanner. Wing backs are Thomas Meunier and Torgan Hazard, with Yuri Tillemans and Witsel in the middle. Above, in front of them are De Bruyne and Hazard, Eden Hazard. So both Hazard brothers are playing, and Romelu Lukaku up top.
Okay.
For Portugal, Rui Patricio, Diego Dalot starts.
Oh,
Right
that's
back. Ruben Diaz and Pepe, centre backs. Rafael Guerrero, left back. Three in the middle, João Moutinho, João Paulinho, and Renato Sanchez. And he's been playing well, to be honest. And front three, Bernardo Silva, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Diego Jota.
Yeah, that'll be a good game. I think it's going to be a much closer game. And folks think that. Let me ask you, what is your score prediction on that game?
Ronaldo will score. But
Okay.
I'm going to go 2-1 Belgium.
Okay. So
Ronaldo just has the knack of scoring.
Yeah. That's a good call. I'm actually going to go the opposite. I'm going to go 2-1 Portugal. I think Lukaku will score a goal. I think Ronaldo will probably score a goal. And I'm thinking either Jota or Renato Sanchez are going to put in something.
Fair dues. It'll be interesting to see who prevails in that game. Massive game. It's going to be an exciting one. On that note, who do you think wins the Euros?
I think you have to look at the bracket. I think England do have a favorable matchup. And on their side of the bracket, this other side gets a little bit dodgy. I originally predicted France to come and win it. I guess we'll see. They haven't looked quite as good as I thought they would on that end, but I don't know. Who are you predicting?
I said France at the start. I'm going to stick by them. However, the fact that Germany have gone through the way they did, I don't know why something tells me that.
You're thinking Germany?
Yeah.
God, that would be a massive flip-flop if I told.
I just think it's just the manner in which they haven't been great either.
Yeah.
But they have a know-how.
Yeah. I think, it really depends on this Germany-England game.
Absolutely.
Because when you look at it on that bracket of the table, I think, who do you have? Ukraine and Sweden afterwards. Then what? Croatia or Czech Republic or Denmark?
Yeah,
I think so. So it's a much easier road to the final, whereas you have currently anyway Belgium, Portugal, Italy, France, Spain. I mean, even Croatia.
I don't know how they worked out. It's just so unbalanced, so one-sided.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those. The potential final could have happened on that side of the bracket prior to, but
absolutely. What's your thoughts on Bruno being dropped there?
That's concerning. That is mad concerning. and the reason behind it, without getting too in depth, is because Bruno carried that United team for the past 2 seasons, essentially, I think. And then, however, there always seems to be, and I don't know why, a massive drop off in quality when a player joins United, and then there always seems to be a massive step up when they leave. So it always makes you wonder: is it the coaching? Is it the environment? Is it what's going on there, right?
I am so glad you said that, because I don't know who was I talking to at the time. I can't remember, but I was wondering that when you actually look at the players that have left the club, left your club, let me be more specific.
Yeah.
They've actually gone on and done well. Di Maria,
Yeah.
Memphis Depay, Romelu Lukaku, even to the extent of saying Ashley Young.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those that, Memphis Depay is got, good enough to go to Barcelona now, right? You think of Lukaku, he came in, been doing madness at Inter. You think of even Dalot, right? When he was on his loan move, like he was doing pretty decent. He's obviously in the squad above Bruno. And so, but yeah, it makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Is it the environment? Is it the coaching? Is it what is it? Right? There's
probably the Manchester weather.
Well, to be fair, it's not the best, but
it isn't indeed. Right. Well, let's wrap it up there so we can both prepare to watch this phenomenal game, Belgium versus Portugal. Once again, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy doing this with you, learning more about American sports. Especially now we've got Copa America coming up, I believe. No, Copa America's now. It's the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
Gold Cup's coming up. You're going to have the drafts coming up soon. We're also going to discuss things like the NCAA. Have I got that correct?
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, the NCAA.
Looking at sports within that region. So it's not just going to be pro sports. We're going to look as much as we can, and I've secretly adopted Baylor as
oh yeah, let's go sick them.
My team. So I'm going to be definitely keeping an eye on them for them over here.
Love it.
Any last words, Santiago?
No, I mean, I'm excited for what the future holds. I guess we still have the NBA Finals. We'll see what goes on in the Stanley Cup. Like you said, Gold Cup coming up shortly, and then football season starts in August. So definitely plenty of things to talk about. And again, thank you for doing the show, and I'm excited about it.
Brilliant. No, it's amazing to have your insight from across the pond, because I'm just a fan who watches it on the TV screen, but you pretty much live it, in regards to how people in America see sports. So it's great to have your insight and stuff. So that's why I definitely had to have you on. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Well, I'm going to stop babbling on. We're both going to go and get some snacks, probably some popcorn, and go and enjoy this game. So, guys, now seriously, thanks. This was the first USI episode. We decided to go live. We'll definitely have more times. We'll have calling shows. So, yes, we haven't had any calls today, but we won't stop. We don't stop. So if you are watching this as a repeat, like, share, subscribe, and look out for future content. We're really excited about this project that we're doing together. So,
yeah.
Have a lovely evening. Enjoy the game.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Take care.